This will be my first number cake since I started my cake business. That's over 6 years ago. I've never made a number cake, and I was so glad when this offer came in. I did everything in my capacity to pull through, and I thought to show you guys how I did it. So the cake was a 7-0 cake, like you can see in the video. It had three flavors: fruit cake, vanilla, and coconut flavor. So because the fruit cake is a bit sturdy, I placed it down, and this cake was going interstate, so I did everything possible to make sure that everything was intact. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Titilayo, and on this channel I share recipes, baking hacks, tips, business conversations, business ideas that you can start from the comfort of your home, and everything in between. So I've already trimmed the cake. So I made sure that each layer is balanced because the 7 kind of came up more than the 0. So I trimmed the 7 more than I did with the 0. So now I'm putting in the buttercream that I'll use to sandwich the cake so that the next layer can sit pretty on top of that one. So while doing this, I was actually showing my students how it's been done. So more like teaching them and teaching you at the same time. So you get to enjoy it as well. Now I have to put the second layer on top of it, just right over it. That's the coconut flavor, and I place it carefully, and now I'm going to trim. So the I think that's vanilla. I can't remember. That flavor usually shrinks. So there are some cake flavors that shrinks. There are some that do not shrink. So the fruit cake did not shrink, while these other flavors shrinked a little bit. So the sizes are not actually the same. That's why I have to trim to make sure everything is balanced out. So I place it carefully, both the 7 and 0, and then I proceeded to start trimming. Trimming the cake, you place your knife carefully on the side. Don't slant it. Make sure it slips on the cake. And with this one, it's quite easy because the top layer, that's the vanilla on top of it, is already smaller. So it gives me the allowance that I'm going to trim off. So it's quite easy. But if you are trimming something that is so irregular, maybe you have like 3 or 4 layers and it's so irregular, just place your knife carefully on the side. Make sure that it's slipping on it. Don't bend it. If you bend it, you're going to cut your cake too much. You're going to dip into your cake, and you don't want that. We really do not want to waste cake. We just want to trim out a little bit of excess that is on the cake. Moving on to the 0, you can see that with this one, I placed my knife like that on the side of the cake, making sure that it's not slant, it's slipping on the cake. In that way, you'll be able to cut out the excess that you really want to cut out, which is the down layer in this case. So I repeat the same process till I'm sure that I'm trimming, not cutting. You don't want to cut, you just want to trim a little out of the cake to have a balanced cake so that when you place your fondant, everything is uniform. For the top of the cake, the 7 seemed to be higher, so I trimmed that one more. Even without using any measuring tool or a plumb, is very, very visible to the eye that the 7 is higher than the 0. And you want to do a fine finish. You want to make sure that everything is uniform. Those are the little details that will give you a fine finish at the end of the day. I even measured to be sure that they are both on the same height because they are both 12 inches long pans that I used. Actually, you can use a rectangular pan to cut out your number instead of using the number pans, but I think I prefer to use the number pans. Now the cakes have been trimmed, they've been leveled and sandwiched with buttercream, and now I'm going to crumb coat with buttercream. So this is what you are going to use to attach the fondant to it. So this is going to be the medium that will seal in your crumbs and at the same time hold the fondant when it's time to put the fondant on top of the cake. Now I finished crumb coating and I'm just putting finishing touches, and the next thing is to start measuring the cake to be able to roll out my fondant. So what you need to do is measure the top of the cake, even if it is a round cake or any shape. Then proceed to measure the side. So I'm going to add up the sides and the top together. So this was 3 inches on the side, the front, the back. So I'll add everything together. So 12 the length, 3 that's 18 altogether. I'll do the same thing for the other side too, so that by the time the fondant, I'm going to be able to measure the fondant and it will be exactly the size I want. So I'm going to put it over the cake. So this is a blanket method that I'm using. You can also do the paneling method where you would cut out the top and the side as well. So you see that everything was well covered because we measured more than the size that is needed for easy covering. You want to do that when you are covering fondant. I had to drag it a bit because I wanted to push it inside so that the hole in the zero can show, so that you can show that it's zero. Because it was my first time covering a number cake, I didn't know how to go about it that much. I pretty much wanted to cover everything on the board and then proceed to cover the board when I'm done. But after I finished covering each of these numbers, I realized that I could have easily covered them on a separate board and then bring them easily to my fondant decorated board. But I learned on the job. No matter any way I tried to do it, I knew I was going to get a very neat job. So back to covering the cake, I used the blanket method like you can see. Rolled out the fondant, made sure that there was excess, and then I carefully placed it on the cake. By the way, if you are new here, please subscribe to my channel. Are you sure you subscribed? And if you've been a family member here, thank you so much for all of your kind comments, your likes, your share, everything. I really appreciate you being here. If you have questions, feel free to drop your comments. Drop the question in the comment section. I'll definitely reply to each and every one of them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. So now I'm trimming out the excess, and I'll take that off and then I'll clean it off, roll it back and use it. This is not going to waste actually. You can use your used fondant back. I will just clean out if there is crumbs there. I'll clean it out and then I'll reuse it once again. Make sure you have a clean cut. Position your knife, let it be very flat on the body of the cake and trim out the excess. Then I put some finishing touches. Then before the fondant got dried, I wanted to do my design on it. So I used the ruler to make a mark, and then I used this fondant cutter to kind of make a mark on the cake. This fondant cutter has like a zigzag mouth, and it imprints a very fine pattern on the cake. So I'm using my ruler to get a perfect measurement so that everything looks neat, and then I do it in an opposite direction. So I have like a quilting. This thing is called a quilting method. Then I use this modeling tool to poke holes into the cake, into each of the points that they meet, and then I use edible glue, that's water and CMC, and then I placed my gold sprinkles. So the design is popping. I didn't really want it to dry before I start doing all of that because the fondant might break, so you can as well do that. And then I arrange the gold balls in those holes. This technique takes a lot of time, but the result is always so beautiful. It's always so beautiful. So I repeated the same process for the number 7. Rolled out, measured, rolled out the fondant and placed it carefully on the cake, and then I made sure that everything is well stuck on the body of the cake. After that, I did the quilting method on the number 7 as well. I arranged gold balls and everything came out super duper pretty. I mean, take a look at it by yourself. I proceeded to write the inscription on the cake and I was busy hailing myself. Stop playing. Did you see that? Okay. After all of that shenanigans with my students and staff, I proceeded to paint the inscription. I used luster dust mixed with edible spirits in a very good proportion. You mix it properly to achieve this shade, bright gold actually, and a little bit of edible spirit. So I painted each of the letters and numbers so that the color can pop and it can rhyme with the theme of the cake. You want to work with the flow of the color you're working with. So it made the cake pop actually, because I'm going to be showing you the final picture shortly. But before I do that, have you subscribed to my channel? If you've not, please click on the subscribe button and subscribe. It's free so that you'll be a part of the family. And don't forget to turn on the post notification so that when I share new videos, you'll be among the first people to see them. And of course, please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any question, feel free to drop them in the comment section, and I'll definitely reply to each and every one of your questions. And if you would like to catch up with my day-to-day activities, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Cakery. We also offer one-on-one classes. If you are interested in taking any training from me, you can reach out via those platforms. You can just send a DM. Till I come your way again next time, my name remains Titilayo. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.